Good evening and welcome to the Reston Community Center Board of Governors meeting for the month of March. First order of business is approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next order of business is approval of the February 7th board minutes.
So moved.
I second it.
I wasn't present, so I'm
You
not
were here.
gonna.
And that's why he didn't see the
I was
corrections.
waiting.
That's right, but it has been corrected, even in
Very
the notebooks.
good.
And then I found another thing to correct.
I did. Oh, good. Then
I might have missed it, it looks good, I don't want to.
Yes, you need 5 of them.
Now we need 5 because you have to abstain.
I have to
Do I
abstain.
have to do it again? Oh, check, oh, wait.
I don't really have to. No.
No.
No, you don't have
Well, that's true.
to. But it was interesting that I found an error in the minutes.
Vote again now?
Two of us right there.
My fault, I went through it, looks good.
Okay.
Okay,
It was ridiculous.
approval, it was moved and
Second,
it was moved and second. All those in favor? Those opposed and abstaining? Next order of business is approval of the February 7th board actions.
So moved.
second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the next order of business is the chair's remark. This is a very strange and trying period right now. One of my younger cousins went in hospital on the 4th, and then we found out that he died 2 days ago. And so I did the thing that you do. I go on Facebook because I knew they would post it there. So it was posted. And I went down and counted 9 people who had lost people in the past week. It was the most depressing. But one of the people had, and I was just saying when I came in earlier that Dingwall Fleary lost his wife too the other day. But she was in a facility for quite a while. But one of the people posted this poem by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give to them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not on your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Next order of business is introduction of visitors. The next order of business is the citizen input. No visitors, no input. Note that. Next order of business are community reports, and we don't have any. Committee reports. Committee reports, and we don't have any. Next order of business is the board member input on activities attended. Since last we met, Lisa.
Now it's full, so can I go later? Someone else will,
Bill.
Lots of meetings. And was Mr. Kendi in the last one?
Yes.
So the Hebrew Kendi. but again, lots of meetings. Probably the thing that's taken a lot of my time, right now, we finished up the redistricting commission with the potential renaming of the districts. It came down to the recommendation from the commission was to consider renaming Sully and Lee. And the rest were pretty much left untouched. We did look at Mount Vernon, we did look at Mason, and we did look at, oh my God, one more. Springfield, but decided against those. So that 9-month effort is now done. The county executive released his proposed annual budget a week ago tomorrow, and it, needless to say, will have a potential big effect on us going forward in terms of our capital projects. One of the things that the county executive is proposing is to go from a 4-year bond cycle to a 6-year bond cycle, which for us that depend on bonds, with the exception of schools, which will continue to get a bond every 2 years, it would have a devastating effect on those entities within the county that are looking at doing capital projects. It adds another 2-year lag to that, and it also back ends the amount of money that you can spend. So with prices going up, where we would typically spend $40 million for a rec center renovation or replacement, that cost is now $70 million in real dollars today. And so we had planned in our 2020 bond, getting a bond in 2024, that bridging between the two bonds, we'd be able to fund that 40 million, or that 40 million, 70 million. And where we're gonna make up that 30 million is anybody's guess. So if you are concerned about projects, capital projects, in the future, in the near future, in the next 2 to 4 years, with the potential hinging on passing of a bond referendum, unless it's an out-of-cycle bond, you're not looking at any consideration before 2026. So I just put that out there, knowing what we're going through right now. That's firsthand information. Have a nice day.
Thank you, no thank you.
See, the Ibram Kendi discussion, the first of the Art Center focus group sessions. Art Spiegelman, it was great. I'm into comics, and so that was particularly near and dear to my heart. And actually, because I'm on the Human Services Council, we got a presentation on the county's budget, and so heard a bunch of those messages, and so interesting to see what the county's going to do with the budget. It'll be interesting to see what the Board of Supervisors does with the
Tax rate.
essentially the base on which the tax rate is applied. Because they can't change the tax rate, but they can say it will apply to X percent of homes assessed value, where X might be less than 100.
Oh, really?
And so it's something that is within their control to say that the tax will only be based on 90% of the homes. Because the assessments I'm going to be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wildly wrong. I think the assessment numbers that they saw in November were up 15% from what they,
That's what I went up.
and then when they saw the numbers in January, it was up 30%. And so, and in theory, they could go with that instead.
right? And so they have to sort of decide what number they're gonna go with and then what percentage of that. So they still have to figure out where it's at, because even with that, revenues look healthy right now.
Robust.
They can make a change to the tax rate. They cannot advertise, they cannot go with a rate higher than the rate they advertise. But they can actually lower the
Yeah.
tax rate.
All right. So,
And they're still sitting on a lot of money.
and they're still sitting on a lot of
Sitting
money.
on a lot of money.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. That's about it for me.
So meetings, task force is at least done for the moment, but only for the moment. I saw the talk about how the anti-racist. And I was saying, I was struck by how soft-spoken
Oh, he is
he
very,
is.
very soft.
I mean, everybody reads the title and thinks, ah, this guy, he's wild, he's crazy. He was very powerful as a result. I mean, that added to the power of it. And then I also attended the meeting, well, both meetings on the performing arts. The second one was, I thought, particularly interesting because I don't know how backstages work. And there were all these people who did. And it was really interesting to listen to their questions and maybe the kinds of things they worried about. It was very interesting. It was a good meeting.
Yeah, very well attended too.
Black.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, I finished up my course on the Pueblo Indians, which seemed to have gone rather well, very well. I also attended the Kendi meeting, which Marion did as well. I had read Kendi's book, so it wasn't new, but Marion had not, and she was very impressed. And the thing about his soft-spokenness, Kendi comes across to many people as if he were primarily a kind of radical advocate. He's a scholar. I mean, he is a very respected historian. And as a historian, I know his name in that respect. And so he's soft-spoken. Historians are supposed to be thoughtful, scholarly, and yeah, I mean, after all. So, anyway, I was not able to attend the two meetings. The first meeting was on Valentine's Day, which I found very peculiar because Marion and I definitely had other plans for Valentine's Day, but I guess romance is now filtered away.
Some of us celebrate every day, but.
That's a good reply. But, and then something came up at the last minute for the second meeting, but I've seen both meetings all the way through on the website, and I found them very interesting.
I will lead off with a comment. One of the things I just commented. I too attended Kenny's phenomenal talk. And as somebody who does DEI work, I'll say this title is perfect, but some of what people fear, that's what you look at it and see this unconscious bias. He is a scholar, he's brilliant, but sometimes you hear a word, oh my God, because we have images of what someone's supposed to look like, how they're supposed to sound. So just take that into, I'll leave that there. But he's phenomenal. He's brilliant. So anyways, that's all I'll say. But I love seeing it. I'm sorry I didn't get his autograph. I know he's busy, but anyways, he's been a favorite of mine for some time. I also did a workshop a virtual workshop at Southlands High School. The first time I did ethics there. And the kids went. It was really kind of neat to do it. I was sorry I couldn't see the kids, and I might be back and do it in person. That was really neat, and I like what they did. So it was kind of fun. And I also attended Art Spiegelman, which is really kind of neat. And when I say neat for me, I knew a little bit of his work, but in the comics. I know my cousins have every single comic book since they were made. Literally, yeah, it's crazy. They have everything, so I'm sure they know what it is. But for me, I still had kind of nightmares like every night about when he showed his family tree before. You know the story, but the scenes. I literally gasped. It was shocking. It was shocking. I was like, oh, people just don't get it. So I just thought it was really neat to see this whole story about people don't see things, you hide stories. It was just really, really neat. I think PD started off well. Things that we forget, we cannot let things happen. So involved in a lot of things that had to do with ethics and racism and all what we do here at Equity Matters. And it was really a busy but a fun month. These things. So I love what we do here, and it's a great community living. So I think that's all I did. And also attended the first arts meeting, and that was really helpful. I was busy the other one, but it was neat to hear that what we're doing. And there's so many artists in the community. I knew it was a bit, but I had no idea to learn. I'm usually just taking notes and listening, but I think people are clueless what the arts do for people, unless. Like the rest of us, during the pandemic, you saw everything closed down. I now stay to the end of every movie, and I'll end on this one, dating myself. I remember I had a big sister that got the Jesus Christ Superstar album, which is, and we saw it last night.
Did you? Was it
Yes.
good?
Well, it was great, and the shock was not really shock, but we got the night with Black Jesus. And it was phenomenal. They were. Whoever it was, both of them were very good Jesus.
Good.
And, it was really nice, but I was like, I can't have been out for 50 years because I'm not that old, but it was very nice.
It can.
It was.
It can be 50 years.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing.
Right?
I saw the original.
So that's bouncing off parts.
I did a show at George Mason with a guy who's now a Red Eye in California, who was in the original Broadway cast.
Oh,
And he
Wow.
and he's also Julie Stein's nephew. So, but it was so funny. We did this show, and on opening night, he brought his wife and his kids and everything. And the show opened, we did the thing, it was over, we came out, and then everybody was going home. He said, "Where's the party?" We said, "Virginia." It is 10 o'clock. There is nothing open.
No, what?
Yeah, it was nothing. That did not compute in his head. I did all of the things that you all did. Everything. Okay. And Lori?
My apologies for being late. When my father's caregiver calls, I answer the phone. This was not the kind of catastrophe I was fearing, but I apologize for being late. I was at the speech with Ibram Kendi. What a great thing, and I'm so glad that we had the local focus as well, and so and you all may know that this is going to be my last board meeting here, so I guess we'll discuss that more later. But because I am running for Resident Association Board unopposed, and the vote turnout is getting off to the same usual start that it does, and we expect we'll reach the 10% that's required. But I'm still knocking on doors to make sure. So I just think that would be too much for me, and so Lila and I will discuss this later on in the meeting, I guess.
Sure.
All right. So I have enjoyed my time here, and it's going to be sad to leave you all as we're just hopefully on the verge of being fully open again. It feels like I've been serving during a time when we've been under the cloud of the pandemic,
Right.
and I'm hoping that cloud is lifting. So.
You're not going something.
Yeah, and you all are the right team to bring us forward.
Okay, next order of business is the executive director's report.
You don't want to discuss what you've been doing all month?
You did.
I did. I
You
said I did.
should be.
I did
Okay.
all
Same
the
thing.
things that
Okay.
everybody else did.
All right. Okay, well, couple of things. You've touched on the engagement processes for the Reston Arts venue. They have been very well attended and very energetic. We have another one coming up in a week for discussion around visual arts components, and then 2 more meetings that will be virtual. The first will be on arts education and equity considerations, and then the final one will just be a wrap-up opportunity for people who want to get in their views if they haven't had a chance to in the prior 4 meetings. We will be having new security cameras installed in both of our facilities this year, and preliminary work is underway for that. Big good news, there is a new vendor for solar panels. So there is some hope. Evie's been in touch with the owner of this company, and we have some hope that perhaps before the end of this summer, we will have solar panels.
Who is the new company? Do you have?
It's in solar.
Instead of,
And
instead
they're
of-
local, they're Fairfax-based.
Okay.
was it Segura that we had been working with? That-
Secure Futures
Oh.
was the company that we started this investigation
Right,
with.
and Segura
5,
was in
6,
between or
yeah,
something.
Segura was the one
Yeah.
that bowed out, and so we'll see. We'll believe it when we see them on being
On the
loaded
roof.
onto the roof. You've all touched on much of the equity highlights from last month, but in addition to the performances that you've mentioned, we took Aquia Alrich to Langston Hughes Middle School and to South Lakes High School. She performed for and talked with 900 kids at Langston Hughes and 350 kids at South Lakes High School, and they were thrilled to have her there. In our community connections, after 2 years of no activity on the Diva Central front, we collected dresses all through the month of February, so we have more than 300 of those donations and lots of accessories to go with them. We have continued to build a relationship with this new organization, Reston Forward, and we screened the documentary film about Reston with the wonderful director of that film, Rebecca Wingert, of Storycatcher Productions, and Cheryl Terrio-Simon joined her, and we did a little Q&A afterwards. Supervisor Alcorn attended that event, and he was, I think, if anything, more excited than we were, because this is a whole new group of constituents to connect to. So that was very successful. We are seeing people come back, even though we have been programming steadily and open since July 2020, people really are starting to feel safer and more relaxed about participation, and we are seeing our numbers go up in all of our program lines of business. We will be interviewing 8 candidates for the position of communications director. The leisure and learning director position is currently being advertised. We're advertising maintenance team positions. There's a great deal of summer hiring for the camps programs and related activities. And you may know that our leisure and learning director, Karen Boucher, retired on February 11th after 10 years of service. And I went to a lot of meetings last month as well.
And also, I heard your
My podcast.
podcast with the rest
Yeah.
of Forward.
Right.
No. They asked me if I could talk about RCC for a half an hour.
He said, "I'll take a while for me to turn it down that
I'll
much."
only get half an hour.
It was cool because he asked the question and then it was like he went to lunch.
That's the way it usually is.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a lot of
It
fun.
was really nice. And you
We
were
turned our cameras on, and he was shifting quite a bit, so he was listening.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Okay, the next order of business is old business.
So Lori is departing from the board, and as you know, we have a tradition at RCC to make a donation on behalf of departing board members to an organization of their choice. And Lori has chosen an organization called Reston Strong.
And I did confirm their 501c3 status.
Okay, so I will connect with them and get their vendor information, and we will make a $300. We won't chop anything off. Contribution to that organization, and thank her very much for the service
Thank you.
of these past 3 years.
Yes. Thank you.
Any other old business? There must be another word for old. I'm still
Continuing
previous
business. Continuing business.
Yes, we're gonna start saying that,
All right.
continuing.
Continuing business.
Is there any?
Unfinished business.
Yes, yes. Very unfinished. Is there any business we haven't handled yet? Since we're not gonna say old, we're not gonna say new either. Is there anything anybody has?
Just a brief thing, and it's not just to RCC, but there's a Facebook page called The Rest of You Remember When. And I joined it. So a few weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago, they put up something, and people said, oh yeah, I lived here. And so I asked the guy who's the administrator, I said, hey, I still live in Reston. And if people want, I can go take pictures of their house and, I'll put it up. And so someone goes, wait, they'll do it on Zillow. Because I'm thinking, to people, I do 5 or 10 people. The next day, no, again, so then there's a realtor who said they'll do it. So I'm just from places I know, but I've been driving around, and as I went to the first house, I said, there's something weird. Someone's up there taking pictures.
Oh my
But
God.
anyways, I've gotten a few houses, but I'm going to neighborhoods in Reston I just haven't been to. Like in a long time, like Wayne County Court, people say I live next to a tennis courts, and
Right.
the tower, all these places, Mediterranean Court, but it was just, I just thought it reminded me of Reston back when they were planning RCC, and it was kind of neat, but I was going, wow, I've been there a long time. But I just, and it's not, but it's kind of related to RCC, but you're, wait, I lived here, and I just love Reston, it's kind of neat, but someone goes, you can do it on Zillow. I said, I know, this is a hometown person helping out.
How many requests have come in already?
Oh, it's
78.
ridiculous.
It was too many.
Something like Kurt goes, Lisa, what were you thinking? I said, I was thinking
3,
the 10 people I know. So the 10 people I know would say, oh yeah, but, and that's what was, are you still doing it? But then my thing was, it's icy, it was colder in February. I said, it's getting warm, I'll go. So now extra people, I was like,
No.
I don't know what I was
That'd be 1,000
They're taking
people.
advantage of you.
Yeah, it is a huge group. It is a huge group.
I would say, if you graduate from American high school from these years, and that's it.
There you go.
It says there's 7,000 members?
Yeah, 7,000 members in that Facebook
Yeah, I was not, it was one
You
of
were
those-
not thinking.
I was not thinking. So, oh yeah, I can help
You
out.
thought they had all come back.
Yeah, but some of the neighbors have changed a little bit too. I remember the trees were little, and now there's forests in some of those places. But anyways, that's,
You look at the reminders.
there's a lot going on in March.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and I'm supposed to ask you, as is Karen Goff, about your attendance at the volunteer appreciation event, mainly because it's the Lunasa performances. So if you're going to participate, we want to hold those seats. So the curtain times are at 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So you can choose which one you want to come to. And then either you stay after the 3 o'clock show and pick up your certificate, and we're still doing a carry-home meal, or come a little early and get your carry-home meal and see the performance. But if you would let me know.
Kevin does have Lisa and Val already.
Right,
So everybody else.
I will be sitting in Charlotte's.
of course.
Are you?
I will
are
be
you
watching.
seven?
Two,
I go either
or
one.
just
It
you?
is 7?
Well, just for the volunteer thing.
Okay,
I've
grab
already
them, laptops.
RSVP'd for the.
You've got your
No.
Lisa tickets.
Yes.
So, okay.
I will be watching the baseball in spring training.
Oh, yeah.
Truly, no bats.
No bats.
That's pretty sad.
Sorry.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's.
So Paul,
He's not coming, you won't be here. You will be? She's taking a
yeah, Paul said he wants to come.
And so Lisa.
Yeah,
three of
I
us,
would
you
like
know.
to, but I've got to check with Mary, and she may
Okay.
want to, because we both like Lunacy.
Just let me know.
Okay, and,
Didn't
and
forget
so,
my due
so all of you can
diligence.
forget this, I will tell you that at 2:15 on March 31st, I will be in the center stage doing my annual show. My every 6 months, I think I'm there. And it's all new music.
Well, this year I'll be here, because I don't think I won't have to go downtown. Usually I teach a course and I can never go back in time.
Cool.
Now,
What day of the week is that? Is that a?
Thursday.
Thursday.
It's the whole, it's the Thursday
it was
series.
April
with,
Fool's Day is Friday.
With, okay, is there anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I don't care your motions. The meeting is adjourned.